Hi there. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We're still in the middle of case 3. We did a successful summation examination, which is pretty cool. And now the trial is going to continue proper, so let's see how that goes. Lord Van Zykes, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. You're pouring another glass for the shotties. Oh yeah, I gotta take in that crisp aroma. Oh. Bro, you just break a whole glass. It's gonna cut your hand. I mean, I know you're wearing gloves, but still, it's gotta be painful, you know? It's just sharp glass. Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice. It may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zykes. Is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honor the deathly silence and listen to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Everyone's all shocked. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. That's a nice little turn of phrase. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence, after all? What, are you using the royal we now as a pronoun? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Oh wow, nice zooming in on his face. How close is it? How far is the zoom gonna go? Bro, you can't just keep zooming in on his face like that. Bro, oh, okay, good. Jeez, I just thought they were gonna keep zooming in on his face forever. Oh, he just threw his cloak off. Okay, well, that's a little bit dramatic, just for bringing back the witnesses. Come on. Bring forth the witnesses once more! Oh, it's Beppo and those two dudes. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure. Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir. I heard it. You, sir, on the end. The coachman. I believe it's, Beppo. Yes, sir. My lord, sir. If what transpires that in your previous testimony you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You will be advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh, mio Dio. Yeah, Beppo. I mean, would you really lie to the court with a name like Beppo? Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. What about your fucking yeah, tell me about these misgivings, my dude. I only carried four passengers that night. I swear it. Well, I, for one, was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. Oh. He fiddled you on the fare? I feel like you... Okay. That's a little bit of a weird way to put it. He fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood curtain in sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw the gilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. Counselor, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage. Pepper, explain yourself. I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster. Guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. And want to understand that you want overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty. You've been dishonest, coachman. I'm sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. Geez, 10 pence? That's a little. That's more expensive. What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm all about those parlor games. Bridge, canasta, backgammon. I'm all about that shit. Cross-examination time. Okay, so let's do a little bit of pressing. I feel like we might need some more information.
Hold it!
So, there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was so cold, it was all I could do to stop myself from passing out. I'm getting chilblains, what? I'm getting chilblains just listening to you. It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. You do seem perpetually, chilly, from what I can tell. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny passenger? You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night. Then we would have had another suspect. Well, let's see.
Hold it!
Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I did. A flat fair of 5 pits across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed, it's gone, dead, and buried. I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place. Let's see. Yeah, you're fiddling on the fair.
Hold it!
This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir. A loathsome sight. No one should witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. Good gracious. Really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. Okay, that's a little over the top.
Hold it!
So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, a Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only the two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as yet, zero evidence. Then what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. I mean, it doesn't seem that weird, TBH.
Hold it!
Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh, yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose. Might have, you know, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe. What's this? Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seat on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor, and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man. Yes. So, in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought that I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no, I'll suppose I didn't actually see the
Truth!
What the fuck? What did you just say to me? You piece of shit? What are you doing with your baton? What the fuck? In fact, now that I could come to think of it, it must have already happened when I had the scream. Ah, of course. Well, that goes without saying. But I really wish he had said it earlier. The autopsy report makes it quite clear that the victim was stabbed only once, which means The banker was witness to the fatal wound that ended Mr. Mason's life. Not long ago, this trial very nearly came to an end. Somehow, we managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful when you press those witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful, as they did before. Maybe. But we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information. Yes, you're so right. I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of a reaction among these witnesses. Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as to the reason. Okay, well thankfully we have a reaction to work with.
Hold it!
Let's see, da-da-da. Okay, yeah.
Struth!
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck Struth is referring to, but, Excuse me, pal. What the fuck did you just say, and why the fuck are you chewing on your police baton, or whatever that is? Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me, or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? Maybe. I don't know. By the way, I don't think we examined this piece of evidence. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Oh dear. Do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, now is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you, we will not find Mr. Sholmes' name inside. Well, let's see what we find. To be, you know, it don't hurt to take a little peeky pie, you know? Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, aren't they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah, goodness! What is it? Look at this! Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. That's a little bit sus. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay! The witness testifying at this very moment. Oh, yeah, that guy. The banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Huh. Well, that's good to know. Quite right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's any reason he couldn't have seen it from where he's sitting. If he was atop and he looked down, I mean, it seems like he should have been able to see. But I don't know for sure. Oh well, I'll just bluff it and be like, yeah, fuck no, he couldn't see a shit. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I'd ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that, all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Hey, that's extra information. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed the man?
Hold it!
Blood-soaked? Blood-soaked? Well, perhaps soaked is laying it on a little thick, but anyway, to quote the Blues Traveler song, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. And you saw that from the roof, through the skylight. Well, you know, the skylight's reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. And there was a lamp on inside the carriage as well. So, I'm quite sure of what I saw. This banker's latest statement. I feel sure there's something not quite right about it. When you feel something doesn't add up, Mr. Naruhodo, that's when you should have a good look through the court record. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we can see the gloves that he was talking about, and although the right glove has some blood on it, I wouldn't really call it blood soaked. Plus, the other glove is perfectly clean, so that's curious.
Objection!
Blood soaked hands. You know, well, I admit that soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGill, did on the night in question. Yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there, but as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. What are you, a fucking rat? You gotta chew on your cane a bit? That's a funny sound. Arrgh, me mateys. In short, Mr. Fairplay, you're a lying sack of shit, and I'm coming for your entire goddamn family line. Your testimony is inconsistent. Or, same message, really. Yeah! Nice, W mustache, by the way. I'm pretty sure it looks like, Wario. You know, W for Wario. But no, that can't be right. So you're the liar here, then. Garr. That's right. You were quite queer about it. You said... one second. You said it was both hands. Grr. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed? But is that really the truth? Arg!
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands. It was only one. But the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No! Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Garg! How you just like going ham on your fucking cane? Why, I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. Ugh. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie, but is that really the case? Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. Well, in fact, I have a good thing to present, actually. My lord! Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove! Are you sure? Yes. Evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Gah! Well, very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that it will demonstrate a motive for the witness's alleged perception of the court. We have this fucking ledger.
Take that!
With his name on it. This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Ah. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No, well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, would you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Gah! Order! 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 Mr. Bruce Fairplay! Yes, my lords. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you, or did you not, see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. All right. Now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing the blood on McGilded's hands. Both of them.
Objection!
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Gah. So you keep saying. You doing okay, guy? You look a little sad. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir? Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir. Sorry. The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes, I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just the one. What? Whoa! Jesus, I'm dying. There goes my heart. It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not, see. Sure thing. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yargs. Mr. Naruhodo. This is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Yeah, I call we're making progress against Mr. Fairplay and his two brand of geese. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen. Well, lo and behold, in point of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. Yeah, you guys didn't see you didn't see the exact moment. So, I mean, you're not as fucking decisive as you appeared at first glance. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony's about, though. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's account. Yeah, I mean, there's blood on the seat, there's blood on his gloves. I mean, it is weird. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
So I wonder what the cause is for the supposed discrepancy in the blood. That's a bit strange. No, the fucking evidence tells us otherwise, you dimwit. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw, and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why? Your reasoning is dire. Uh-huh. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. Hold
it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime, it's a matter of fundamental importance as well you know. But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. Oh hey, that's a unique paper looking through animation. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? That's not entirely not what I was hoping for. Nah. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend, that's a sure thing. Gambling's not good for you, man. A little guinea or 10? I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. That's not exactly very honest. Yeah, honestly. I think you may have I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I mean, both of them, remember saying the both attacked with both hands having blood on them. You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands? Well, yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGildy's gloves has any sign of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGildy sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. So they're saying he wasn't even wearing gloves. That's weird. It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see in the dark. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGildy's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands. Well, this is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it. Yeah, that seems like a weird discrepancy.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything? Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Would you agree, sir? I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir. I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good few of London's streets, no? Any comment? Oh, please. You didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Bravo!
Anyway, the fact remains, there could have been anyone else inside that carriage or we all would have seen. And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus.
That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember I was shivering, it was so bitter.
Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Oh? Why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
It was locked.
That's right. It's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play.
Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down. I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? Maybe. I don't know.
let's look one more time at this part of the thing. Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like you would theoretically be able to see it, you know? I mean, I don't know, I guess not. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight and the floor of the upper decks. Is that correct? Is that right? It's Phoenix, right, actually. That's right, yes. In that case, there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well. I will uphold the prosecution's demands. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plane of the omnibus. Let's see. Okay, well, if you were if you were sitting like here and you were looking, your general line of sight would be this part of the area. You right? If someone really was seated here, you know, you wouldn't really be able to see. So,
Take that!
yeah, I guess this. Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Ah! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Gah!
Objection!
Interesting.
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity.
Jeez, you kind of go hard on the racist stuff, don't you, pal?
I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? How the bloody hell should I know? If no one saw him, then who knows who he is? You know? Well, let's look at the profiles in the court record. Was it you, Barack von Zykes? I don't know, bro. I have literally no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't just a case of going on, Mrs. Otto. Don't look at me like that. All right then. I'll fucking go. Just don't stab me or throw me around like a pinball. The defense would like to put forward a name, I suppose.
You're a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learnt.
Let us not delay, Counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... I mean... I guess the implication is that we're supposed to assume that one of these dudes is lying, maybe. But, I mean, I don't know. It was Male Strongheart. It's him. He's the guilty guy who did the murder, I bet. I mean, just look at him. Okay, fine, I guess. I mean, this guy is a little bit sus, I guess.
Take that!
Yes, concealed in the blind spot of the cabin that night was none other than this unexpected passenger.
Whatever so-called logic you use to arrive at that conclusion, it matters not, because your answer has made one thing abundantly clear. The real blind spot is inside your head, and it would appear to be unusually large.
Okay, I guess it wasn't him. You could have just said that's not right, pal. Mr. Naruhodo, our task here is to defend Mr. McGilded, and we are working on the assumption that he is innocent of this crime. Yes, of course. Why? That must mean, then, that there was someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGilded, the true culprit. Well, that's right. Exactly what I've been... Oh, of course. So the two people sitting inside the cabin that witnesses saw through the skylight that night, they were the victim and the real culprit. It does seem as though we've all been making a false assumption. The witnesses weren't looking at Mr. McGilded at all, meaning he has to have been sitting somewhere else. Huh. I'm sorry, can you run that by me again? They weren't looking at Mr. McGilded at all. That means there's someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGilded. Well, yeah, I guess if they were sitting next to each other, then that means that McGilded must have been the shadowy third passenger. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll present him, I suppose. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. McDonald's? Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, Counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Then should that mean that McGilded saw the... Oh. He just threw his whole fucking, wine glass.
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Dykes!
People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and a culture of their own, but I see they use the terms ill-advisedly.
What are you trying to say?
Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand.
When the bloody scene... Oh, sorry, it's Van Dyke's voice.
When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection.
But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. Well, what inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Oh yeah, the glove discrepancy. That is pretty curious. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection.
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection.
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Well, yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. Eh? There was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party that we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection.
And who was this third party?
Obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary. Order! 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 But what exactly are you postulating?
Objection.
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Oh yeah, he did say that.
Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents are most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And, what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I, don't remember. Can you call yourself a hatter?
The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be so sure?
Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
Ah! Yeah, that does seem kind of hard to believe. He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it.
Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this, problem. Bring the accused, bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, you have already made a full statement to the police.
But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely?
Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Good question, but we're going to hold that off until the next episode. Oh boy, things are getting spicy and getting spicier, so that'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think we should probably talk to him a little bit to see what he saw or didn't see, you know. But like I said, in the next episode though, we'll mess with him a bit, I guess. But until then,